Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel called zuzanareacts, where I learn all things Bhara with your help, and I just share my Slovak Central European point of view. And today is the part 4 of the Is Consciousness Miracle debate with Sadhguru and Harvard scientists. If you want to check out the previous ones, I will just try to link it here and also at the very end of the video. And I am so keen to dive right back. But before we do,
please like this video and click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification. Thank you so much for your support.
Okay, so this will be the final leg of the video. Super curious. Let's kick this off.
It's a great conversation. I think people want to ask questions, but I just wanted to ask you one last thing before I hand it over. Let's keep it short. One, you were talking about dirt, right? So there's a certain sensitivity to it from the point of view, is it really dirt? Should we call it as dirt that is useless? Or should we call it as soil that is giving life?
No, I call it dirt just to emphasize its physicality, and indeed the fact that, of course, dirt has a negative connotation.
Yes.
Miracle. Yes, as opposed to soil. I was using it deliberately and ironically not to denigrate soil. I think soil deserves our utmost admiration. It's the basis of life, but rather to remind people that it is physical stuff that we depend on. And by choosing the word that doesn't have that noble halo, it was a way of emphasizing my point that physical stuff matters. We tend to denigrate it. We shouldn't. Soil is important. Maybe we shouldn't call it dirt, but calling it dirt reminds us.
You're a linguist, so that's why I wanted to ask.
Yes, well, calling it dirt is just a reminder that we should think twice about some of the things we take for granted. And indeed, choosing a synonym with a better connotation may be a way of changing those attitudes, but in an argument like the one that I'm making, it was a reminder that we shouldn't treat physical stuff as tawdry, as beneath our dignity to discuss and to take seriously.
Very much so. I knew when you uttered the word dirt, you were speaking in that context, but in the Eastern cultures, in most Eastern Asian cultures, particularly in India, we always refer to soil as mother soil. When we will never say simply soil, we'll say Taimannu. That means it's mother soil. Because the word mother does not mean our biological mother. That which is the source of who we are is mother. Well, in your computer there's a motherboard. That doesn't mean it delivered the computer, it is just that it is the source of everything that's happening there. So in that sense, soil is the largest living system, not just on this planet, but in the known universe, it is the largest living system. A handful of soil has 8 to 10 billion organisms. It's a massive living system. In many ways, it is the foundational life for who we are. It is just that our attitude towards soil has become like this, that let's say we built one house for ourselves, one floor, and then our family expanded, so we want to build the next floor. So we decided, why do all this? Just take the foundation stones and build the first floor. Well, this is going to be a disaster. That's the approach that we have right now, because nearly 85% of the nations on the planet still treat soil as a resource, not as a source of life, not as a living system, just as a resource that we can use whichever way we want. 50% of United States soil has disappeared in the last 70 years, and 27,000 species of organisms are disappearing every year. This is the amount of extinction that's happening. In another 25 to 40 years' time, every UN agency is warning that there will be no agriculture, because once the organism quantity goes down in the soil, it becomes like sand. Desertification is one of the main issues. There's a whole agency for combating desertification called UNCCD, who are partners with us in making this happen. Having said that, there is a… it's okay to tell a joke, right? This happened in 2016. In 2060, a few scientists sought an appointment with God. Don't go by this, I'm not that kind of a believer, but I'm just telling you a joke. They sought an appointment with God and they got the appointment. They went there and they told him, "Hey, old man, you've done great with creation, but everything that you can do, now we can also do. So it's time you retire." So God said, "Oh, is that so? What is it that you can do? Give me a demo." They said, look at this, and they took some soil, made a vague image of a human infant, they did this, that and the child cried, alive. God said, that's very impressive, but first get your own soil.
We'll go to, I think we have time for maybe one or two questions. So I think mic runners are there, so they should go.
Okay, I love the arguments here, and not like in an argumentative sense, but like the argument. And he's treating as a scientist. This is what I don't. Okay, I'll say I don't like it. I'm from the he's treating soil as a resource and something like he said that, right? I'm not imagining that it's like beneath us. I'm like, no, like this is the problem of the society, I believe, and you guys can disagree with me, but it's just, we are not separate. I hope that, at least I hope that in Hinduism we look at it, we are all one. So we're all one with nature. We are not separate to the nature. Why do we and it's like perhaps the arguments that you guys would never have in India, but it's kind of the superiorism of intellect in the West. I feel like it's causing a lot of problems, and it's just this kind of disrespect towards Gaia. I mean, in the Western spirituality, we call Gaia is kind of the Mother Earth. I don't know if you've heard this term before, but I mean, we just really don't appreciate, and we think we're just so above it. And I think it's just so much ignorance in us thinking that we are better than, because we're not. We're actually like, he said, like soil is the biggest living organism. Then you have trees, and it's kind of like a huge ecosystem around the world that doesn't really harm the world. Like, and come a human and destroys pretty much the entire ecosystem for what? For own personal gain. Because right, we live, at least in this kind of a couple of centuries, it's a capitalistic system, and obviously maybe India different, but it's just the chase for ego, chase for money, and I don't know, maybe because there has never been a better system thought of before, but it really is sad that we are not really turning inwards, and we're just chasing the unimportant things. But I feel like it's almost by design. I don't think it's almost by design. It is by design. So yeah, but let's see what the questions are.
Micronauts need to come here.
Yes.
One of the central tenets of the Hindu religion is that something survives after death. And you mentioned that consciousness is eliminated at the time of death. And I'd like to sort of cite to you several examples to the contrary. So I'm standing here today, and I have witnessed myself change over decades. I've seen myself go from childhood to where I am today. And but something within me has stayed the same, that has witnessed the change. So that's one argument. The other, as a sleep physician, I can tell you, is that when I go to sleep and wake up in the morning, I'm aware if I had great sleep or bad sleep, or I was totally unconscious. So again, there was something deeper inside me that sort of witnessed all those stages of sleep. And finally, you know, when I experience life through the different senses, and I keep going back, there seems to be something within the rearmost portions of my brain that's witnessing it. I'm witnessing you making your arguments, and I'm sensing them, but there is something way behind that has stayed stable. So I think that's the central tenet of our religion, Vedanta it's called, that whatever it is in my consciousness that survives my demise is also the same in you as well, and in all of us. And I'm wondering if you have any answer to that.
Well, I was with you until you made the leap to what survives after you die. Because all that other stuff, like the part of you that goes to sleep, passes out of consciousness, comes back into consciousness, I mean, that's still your functioning brain. The part of you that you like to think is continuous from your childhood to your adulthood, again, your brain's been working the whole time. So yeah, I'm with you for all of that, but that says nothing about what happens when the brain permanently ceases to function. Now, by the way, this is not to say that there aren't puzzles, conceptual mysteries about what philosophers call the problem of personal identity. So, for example, if an 18-year-old commits a crime, should he still be in jail when he's 65? Is it, in a sense, the same person? Is it morally justifiable to make the 65-year-old suffer for what the 18-year-old did? Or is there some sense in which that was kind of not the same person because the brain was different? And there are many other puzzles that philosophers, Derek Parfit probably being the most famous, have explored. None of them, though, I would say, cast doubt on the idea that a functioning brain is absolutely necessary for consciousness, and that when it stops functioning, consciousness ceases.
Okay, can I say something? One thing, sir, I would like to correct is, we must understand that you call something a religion only if you're forced to believe something that is not in your experience. So the Vedanta that you refer to and the Hindu culture and traditions that you refer to have no belief systems. It is a land of seeking. You're supposed to seek. This is the reason why in that culture there are no commandments. Nobody can give us commandments. Who can give commandments to Indians? They're full of questions. So, this is a process of seeking. How many ways of seeking? Well, we came up with thousands of ways of seeking, different ways for each individual how to seek. But the fundamental of seeking, as I already said once, is that you have realized that you do not know. That's why you're seeking. Because most human beings do not understand the significance of I do not know. I do not know is the basis of longing to know. And longing to know is the basis of, if at all, if you know one day, at least the possibility of knowing opens up only because we realize I do not know. Having said that, the important thing about what you're saying, this is a university, I don't know if this is a place for going to this aspect, because you talked about beyond death, what happens. And it need not be just an assumption or something that you believe. The fundamental is this: as we sit here, this is my body, that is your body, 100%. This is my mind, that's your mind. Here and there we may overlap, but this is my mind, that's your mind. But there is no such thing as my consciousness and your consciousness. There is only one consciousness. You have captured some, I have captured some. We have methods and ways how you can capture a larger bubble so that suddenly everything about you is enhanced. I can show you hundreds and thousands or millions of people who are at one level of living, suddenly they move to another level of experience and living simply because they manage to blow their bubble a little bigger. So this bubble, the film of the bubble, is essentially information. This information, in the culture that you come from, we call this karma. Karma means as we sit here, our body is doing activity, this is one kind of karma, physical karma. Our mind is doing things, this is mental karma. Our emotions are doing stuff, that is emotional karma. Our energy is doing things, that's this energetic karma. 4 dimensions of karma are happening to us in wakefulness and sleep, non-stop. Now, how identified you are with those things will create tendencies within you. These tendencies, we very rightly refer to as vasana. Vasana is a perfect word for this because the word vasana means smell or odor. So what kind of vasana you have depends on what kind of tendency you develop. What kind of tendency depends on what kind of information that you gathered in so many unconscious ways. So this information determines what kind of a person you are, but what kind of a being you are. When I say what kind of a being, see, you are the only life on this planet which is referred to as a being, not because human beings had the dominance over language, no. It is because you are the only one who can determine how to be. All other creatures respond instinctively to whatever their requirements are and whatever the external stimuli is. So, what you're referring to as what is beyond life, what is beyond this body, beyond this psychological drama that we're going through, is just a bubble of information that may travel. But there are ways to… You also know, you mentioned Hindus, that means the objective of that culture is to attain liberation or mukti. What this means is, you deprive yourself or you demolish all this karma or this information that you have gathered, or distance yourself in such a way that this bubble doesn't carry on. That's a whole process. Now this is too far-fetched for you because I'm going too rapidly, there are too many loopholes in this, but this can be properly put across and it can be made to be experienced, not just talking about it.
I just have a follow-up. Your book, Blank Slate, it is a very popular book, and you talk about there is no blank slate, people come with certain, you also talk about the behavioral genetics portions of it. 40%, sorry if I'm wrong with the percentages, you talk about genetic influences is 40% and 10% is environment, and there is unknown, there is another 40 to 50% is unknown. Am I saying the right percentage?
In the differences among people, yes, 40.
So what is that unknown that we have? That 50% is unknown pieces that influences behavior. What do we attribute that to?
It is unknown, but I can give you the some possibilities. One of them is random events in the development of the brain, in utero or afterwards, that the genes don't have nearly enough information to specify the wiring of the brain down to the last synapse. And there may be some stochastic, that is to say random processes in the growth of neurons and their interconnections, where the genes keep the brain development in a band of functioning, but there's a lot of random variation within those boundary conditions. There may be effects of arbitrary events as you live your life that have cascading effects, chaotic effects perhaps, that add up. Just, by the way, to be concrete, to specify what it is we're talking about, imagine two identical twins. I'm sure many of you, probably all of you, know some twins. And I'm not talking about the exotic cases where they're separated at birth, reunited in adulthood, and they have all of these amazing similarities. That is interesting in terms of reminding us of the importance of genes. But now consider the twins, the ordinary twins, like the ones you all know, that maybe some of you are, who are brought up together, who have brought up in the same neighborhood, same parents, same older sibs, same younger sibs, same number of books in the house, same number of TVs in the house. Are they literally identical? No, they're not identical. And any of you know twins? No, they're not. Now, where do those differences come from? They didn't come from their genes. I mean, unless there were new mutations after conception, they didn't come from the environment as we usually think of the environment. That's the puzzle, and that's what we don't know. To me, it signifies an enormous and underappreciated effect of random causes, whether they are random causes in brain development, in brain functioning, or in environmental experiences that have larger effects than we appreciate. It is, I think, one of the great surprises that behavioral genetics has revealed to us.
So, Guru, can we influence these random variations?
That's what it seems. Now, that's what I would conclude. It is possible that there are subtle aspects of the environment that are very difficult to measure, that have predictable non-random effects. That seems kind of unlikely. That seems to be a kind of prayer. I think it's more likely that there's a lot more randomness than we intuitively think of.
The significance of being a human being, not a human creature, is just this. All of us definitely come with a certain amount of information from our parentage. We pick up much more through our childhood and maybe adolescence and stuff. But still, will we limit ourselves to the information that's come to us and what we have gathered, or will we go beyond that, is what human being is about. If we are just a replica of parentage in whatever way, small modifications and this, human life has gone waste. Because this is why you're a human being. That means you can transcend whatever your body speaks, whatever your mind speaks. Beyond that, you can transcend and make yourself into something well beyond what the information that the body and the mind carries. If you do not exercise this choice, in many ways, human possibility has gone waste. Because we are not exploring the possibility of being a being, we are just trying to be a better creature than others. In competition, we may earn better, we may qualify better, we may run better, we may jump better, but this is just being a better creature, which all the other creatures are doing. Every other creature is striving to be competitive and being better than another one. So this possibility that you can actually distance yourself from your genetic information. We can show you any number of examples where even the shape of their face will change within a matter of few days. If they go through certain initiation processes, you will see the very shape of their face will change, distinctly noticeable for everybody. I can show you pictures, I can show you people, how they were and how they are today. Because once the genetic information, there's a distance between you and that, suddenly there are phenomenal changes. And in the culture that you're talking about, there are death rituals. We are doing these things to distance ourselves from our parentage. Because if the influence of parental genetics are too heavy on us, we will not be a fresh life, we will just be a copy. So we want to be a fresh life. So all the time there are many processes, many methods, both when they're living and when they're gone. Both ways we have methods with which we distance ourselves from our own genetics, because without that there is no new life, it's just a repeated life. So this whole process of doing things with the genetic memory, the energetic memory, the chemical memory in the system. Well, Bala is doing research right now on how your chemistry can be changed within 4 to 6 weeks of doing a simple 21-minute practice. Is well established, nobody can question that, because our idea of truth has to come from lab. This idea must go. Truth comes from life. Life and deeper experiences of life. Is everybody here experiencing life at the same level of profoundness? Definitely not, isn't it? So can we enhance this? Definitely yes. How many will enhance it? It's a question of willingness. It's a question of how much life you're willing to invest in enhancement of your experience. Most people are interested in enhancement of their social presence, their economic presence, and other things. But essentially, all the things that we are doing, see, why we want education, why we want wealth, why we want relationships, is we believe these things will enhance the experience of life, isn't it? Hello? It may or it may not, that's a different matter. But the hope is that it'll enhance. In some ways it will enhance, in some ways it may not help. These things are happening, that's individual. With some people, they may make use of their education and wealth in a fantastic way. Whole lot of people make misery out of their money. These are different people. So, what we make out of enhancements of social and other structures is different, but enhancement of life, the very life that I am, the very being that I am, enhancing that, there is a way, there is a methodology. There are cultures who have invested millennia of effort in this direction, which cannot be wiped out, and that is the most important thing right now in the world, because science and technology has brought more comfort and convenience that people are ready for, unfortunately. They're not able to enjoy their comfort and convenience. Today the problem is not of hunger, the problem is of overeating, all right? At least a third of the people are suffering from obesity and stuff. So, it's important that this time we know how to enhance this life, not enhance just our life situations and our lifestyles.
Thank you, Sadhguru. Thank you so much, and wonderful, and thank you all.
Wow, I believe this is it. This is it for part 4. Wow, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I felt like first 2 parts were a bit, slow to start with, but this was really, really good. Look, I've said at the very, very start in part 1 about our biases and stuff, and I think, obviously living your life is up to you. You come, I say that to my friends, and when they're going through difficult life situation, etc. And it's, you come here alone and you leave alone. That's pretty much it. Maybe with the exception of twins, they come together. But even so, one after the other. So I think it's always about, and it's so funny because I've noticed Sadhguru a couple of years ago, and I've watched some of his like shorter content. I only actually started to watch his long content right now when I'm doing this. And like I've been in spirituality for 20 years now, and obviously my concepts may slightly be different to whatever you guys know, and this is why I'm actually keen to explore that. And so this is kind of where I'm coming from. And I've always said, when I was in my kind of earlier 20s, it really hit me, earlier 20s, maybe mid-20s after that, it really hit me that to live is to experience. And from that point of view, it's kind of, in a way, this is why I don't like judgment, because my belief system is in a way that your soul on an eternal journey to achieve enlightenment, moksha, whatever you want to call it. And and it's again my belief system. You take it as you will. As you come here, you're an expression of the Creator, right? And it's nothing is inherently good or bad. Just thinking makes it so, right? So you have certain experience to learn from them, and that comes also to the point of duality of this universe. And this is why I don't like judgment much. Obviously, we all have to judge. It's like I need to cross the street. I need to evaluate the situation, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say, but like not judging the people, not judging their experiences, not judging their journey. And I really also enjoyed how Sadhguru said that, when we are personalities we develop, right? We come here and we get right away imprinted by the culture. Our identity is almost put on us, and then we live defending that identity instead of maybe questioning it. And why do we do that? Because it's really hard. It's really, really hard, A, to change, but B, to question what we deeply believe, that what our parents like taught us, and we just sometimes really blindly say it. It's very hard, I think, to question that. So then I wanted to, invite you to also question your life, question, like, why is my society making me do this? Like, why is this acceptable? Why is not acceptable? Just because it has been done like that by millions of years? Is it nice? Is it respectable to the other people? Why am I judging the person, for doing X, Y, and Z, and maybe not wanting to come to a family event or what have you, so it's kind of very interesting concept that he was drawing there. And one I wanted to mention, and I think that will be perhaps my last point to end this video, is about when they were talking about, kind of the consciousness, and what kind of occurred to me, and it kind of hit me. And again, this is different belief systems, and you don't have to trust me, believe me, take it as you will. And because I believe, obviously, we are a soul. And the way, for example, Avatar has shown the soul is that, at the back of your head, like, right, that there is like a bit of a dimple, that this is how the life comes in, and this is how, we get born our person. I know people that have seen how they got born and how they were able to literally pick I always knew that you can pick a country, you pick country, you pick parents, you pick century that you're born in, and you pick your own kind of lessons, and you have guides. At least this is people that I've spoken to or have seen over 20 years. That's kind of feels like a pattern, that this is what happens when you come here. I know someone very close to me that had that recalls that experience. So you are a soul on the journey. You come into the body, and you're not your body. You're just utilizing your body to achieve certain lessons that you set out for yourself in your lifetime. And I'm not saying you have to believe that. I'm just saying this is my experience. This is quite a few people that I spoke to about this, and read a lot about this one as well. So it felt like it's not just one or two people saying that. And the thing is, as they were discussing the what was he talking about? Somehow I felt like he was in my head it translated to souls and personal identity, and he was talking about out-of-body experiences, how your body can function. And I've just recently been reading a book called Immortal Talks. I can link it in the comments for you to read. It's actually, I feel like you really have to be very deep into spirituality to really understand that, but it talks about the fact that, like, when one soul leaves, another one can enter the body, and it's the same body, just different. So it's crazy as concept, but it's actually this Immortal Talks is about devotees of Hanuman. It's a really cool one. I've read part one. I'm started to read part two. It's actually not that long. So for all of you that wanted to explore a bit more spirituality and that, feel free to check that book out. I feel like it's very, very good. But I feel like you have to have certain understanding of the concepts for you to actually really understand it. So just for yourself where you are on your journey. And if you did enjoy this video, please give a thumbs up, share a like, and subscribe to this channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Until then, please do take care. Sending much, much love. Bye-bye.